Hi, guys. Welcome to the Domestic Relations Financial Affidavit training by Attorney Terri S. Herron. Let's just get started, okay? Now, if you are seeing this recording, you should have along with you the Domestic Relations Financial Affidavit. Now, you can do the Excel version or you can do the PDF version, whichever version you prefer. But for this recording, I will be doing the Excel version, okay? Now, let's just get started. First of all, you want to make sure that you properly put your county in. So I'm just going to put in Fulton County. And if you're doing the Excel version, you should be familiar with Excel. You don't have to have extensive skills with Excel, but at least if you know how to input information in Excel, you should do fine, okay? All right, make sure that you put your name here and make sure that you put the respondent's name here. Now, if you are the respondent, this is the same form that you're going to do. Just make sure you reverse it, okay? All right, if you already have a case number and if you've already filed the case or if your case has been filed by us, you should already have a case number, okay? So I'm just going to make up a case number and make sure your case number goes there, okay? All right, so you may have the version that says Domestic Relations Financial Affidavit, but at the bottom it refers to this being a temporary affidavit. That's fine. You can leave that there if you like, if it's there. If not, that's fine as well. Anytime you have any kind of update that's significant to your Domestic Relations Financial Affidavit, you want to make a change. So if you go from making $100,000 a year to making $50,000 a year, you definitely want to make a change to your domestic relations financial affidavit. Even if you have only a $5,000 a month change, you want to make sure, or even a $2,000 a month change, any kind of change really, you should be making a change to your domestic relations financial affidavit. You'll see in just a bit why it really doesn't matter when it comes to things like the electric bill, because really we're going to be just putting in like a variation of what your electric bill could be, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's make sure that we put our name. And if you're Jane Doe or John Doe, make sure you put your name in there. Make sure you put your age, okay? All right, so next we're going to put our spouse's name if this is a divorce. If this is not a divorce action, then you will not put your spouse's name. Even if you're married and even if this case is against the ex-wife or the mother of your child in another relationship, you will not put your current wife in here or your current spouse in here unless this is a divorce action, okay? So we're going to pretend that this is a divorce action, okay? So what we're going to do is I am going to put John Doe here as my spouse. And I will put that John Doe is 54 years old. All right, so for a divorce action, you want to put the date of marriage. So I'm just going to put a date of marriage of, let's see, 2010. And you see it'll auto-populate as it should, the format. And then you definitely want to make sure you put the date of separation, okay? So I'm going to put the date of separation as being just 3/25, let's say 2020, okay? All right. So for the children, now in this category, when it says names and birth dates of children of this marriage, it means of this marriage. If this is not a divorce action, then it means of this case, okay? So you're only putting the children that are involved in this case. So I'm going to put little Johnny. So let's put John Doe Jr., okay? All right, so we have John Doe Jr. And let's say we have Janie Doe, okay? We have two children. All right. So we never put the children's full date of birth. We only put the year. I need for you to be mindful of that because What you don't realize is this domestic relations financial affidavit, if you file it with the court, is a public document. So you never want to put your children's date of births in here, okay? You just want to put the year of birth, and it gives the judge the year that the children were born. So I am going to put 2011, and again, I'm just making up these numbers for the sake of just showing you how to do this, and 2013, okay? All right. Now, if you do have other children, from other relationships, then this is where you want to put the children. Names and birth dates of affiant's other children, okay? These are other children. These are children that are not subject to this action that we're doing right now, okay? If you don't have any other children, don't put that here, okay? All right, let's just move to section 2, summary of affiant income and needs. Okay, so if you're watching this video, then you should already have our instruction sheet on how to calculate your income. So whatever your income was calculated to be, this is where we're going to put your income. And yes, this is gross monthly income. So I'm going to put that the gross monthly income is $10,000, okay? And then let's say your net income after taxes are taken out, we're going to put $8,000, okay? All right, so for now, when it comes to average monthly expenses and monthly payments to creditors, you may not have that. So now we're just going to go to the next tab because we'll come back to this part, okay? Because you'll get this by the end of this worksheet. All right, so let's just go to income. All right, so what is our salary? Now, here's the thing. Some people have a straight salary. Some people may have where they're getting bonuses. Some people may have where they're getting overtime. This is where you want to put that. For the purposes of this video, I'm just going to put that the salary is $10,000. But listen, if that $10,000 that you put on page 1 under 2A comes from salary and overtime payments or any kind of severance pay or any other income, then you want to add that amount up, okay? And it should equal this amount, okay? All right. Now, if you're doing the Excel spreadsheet, this is going to automatically be calculated for you, okay? So you see we have $10,000 as our salary here, and $10,000 is down here where it says gross monthly income. Now, I want to be very clear because a lot of people miss this section right here. Attach copies of your 2 most recent wage statements, okay? So make sure that you're attaching that because it does go on the Domestic Relations Financial Affidavit. If you don't attach that, then you don't have a complete Domestic Relations Financial Affidavit. And for you guys that are not aware, you can call it DRFA for short. A lot of times you'll hear that term, DRFA, and that's just simply Domestic Relations Financial Affidavit, okay? All right, so right here, we want to put in the total state tax, federal tax, and FICA deducted from the gross income. And I think I put on here that the net was $8,000. That doesn't necessarily mean that the difference is $2,000 because it could be where you have other deductions that amount to you getting $8,000 for net. So for here, let's say I'm going to put $1,500, okay? All right, so that shows me that at the end of the day, that I have $8,500 coming out for this. But again, it could be where maybe $500 is not necessarily from taxes, but $500 I may be contributing some kind of way to maybe child support that I owe for someone else, or maybe for some kind of 401k plan. All right, so let's make the numbers even. So for the purposes of this video, let me go ahead and just put this $2,000 back so that I don't confuse you. Now we have your net monthly income of $8,000. Now right here where it says pay period, if you're getting paid bi-weekly, bi-monthly, however you get paid monthly, make sure that you put that here, okay? So we're going to put bi-weekly. All right, so we will go to the next page, household and auto, okay? So let's go to 4A, and under 4A, let's go to household or rent payments, okay? So under 4A, let's be very clear. If you do not pay this, then do not put this here, okay? This is what you're paying. Now, there are times where if you've not paid any kind of bills in the household and you're divorcing, there is a second domestic relations financial affidavit that I will have you do just to show the judge what you anticipate your expenses to be when you move out from your spouse. But this is not for this is not for that. For the purposes of this video, it's just to get you through going through this domestic relations financial affidavit. So for the domestic relations financial affidavit, let's say my mortgage payment is $1,300, okay? And let's be very clear. Do not whatsoever put any explanation outside of the boxes, okay? Don't put explanations over here, because what happens is when you try to print this out, or when we receive this and we convert it to a PDF so that we can either give it to the other side or file it with the court, it's not going to capture anything outside of the boxes, okay? So let's not put anything here. And I know a lot of people like to put explanations outside of these boxes. If you absolutely have to have an explanation, what I would suggest is in this box, go here and just put in parentheses. Let's say you're just anticipating that you're going to be paying rent or mortgage in the amount of $1,300. You can put that there. Or let's say your portion, and I'm going to take this all caps off. Let's say your portion is $1,300 and it's actually $2,600. Then I'm just going to say my portion of what I pay, okay? But in no circumstances are you to put anything that you don't pay, or in the situation where if you're seeking alimony or you're trying to convey to the judge that, hey, listen, when I move out from this person or when we divorce, these are my expenses that I anticipate. Other than that, let's just put what we actually pay, okay? All right, so if the property taxes are rolled into what you pay for your mortgage, that's fine. You can actually put this in parentheses. Included in mortgage payment. Okay. Same thing for your insurance. If it's included, you can put in parentheses that it's included. Okay. Now, whatever your HOA fees are, people have a hard time just grasping this simple concept that these are monthly expenses. So if you pay $1,200 for HOA fees a year, then just simply put $100, okay? All right, so we don't know from month to month how much the electricity is going to be. So let's just do an average, and that's fine. It's fine. The judge doesn't expect you to put down $95.99. If the average is $100, put $100. We do know that these numbers fluctuate, and the judge knows that, okay? If you're paying for gas, again, these are household expenses, so we don't want to confuse gas with gas for our car. We're talking about household expenses, okay? So let's just go through these, and I'm just going to put numbers. Again, these are monthly numbers. Maybe you don't have a residential telephone. That's fine. Just leave it blank. Maybe your internet and cable are one bill, and that's fine. So what we do is you can put that in parentheses. If you want to say package or packaged with cable, that's fine, okay? All right, if you have an alarm system, any kind of repairs or maintenance that you're doing, we don't need to make up anything at this time. If you don't have anything, don't put it. We don't need to put pool care if you don't have a pool. All right, if you're doing the lawn, that's fine, unless you're just paying hundreds of dollars to do your lawn. That's fine, or unless you're paying somebody, but there's no need for you to actually just make up some numbers, okay? All right, so miscellaneous household and grocery items, okay? All right, so if you have children, then you know that children eat. They eat a lot. So whatever that amount is, that's fine. Put what you actually pay for the groceries, and this is inside of the house. Now, if the children eat meals and you eat meals outside of the house, that's fine. Put what you guys usually spend outside of the house. All right. And if you have pets and domestic help, feel free to put it there, okay? All right. So let's go to our automobile. So for gasoline, Whatever you're paying on average for your gasoline, that's fine. Just put it there, okay? If you don't spend money in gas and you take MARTA and you want to put that on here, then that's going to go somewhere else. That's going to go where it says public transit. If you don't spend gas, then just put 0 here or just leave it blank, okay? Now, I get it that you guys are not getting oil changes every month. So again, this is just going to be an average, okay? So whatever you spend on an annual basis, go ahead and divide that by 12, okay? Again, for the purposes of this tutorial, these are just random numbers. Okay, and just so you see, in Excel, it is calculating everything for you. Here's your total for your household expenses. Here's your total for your automobile, okay? All right, let's go to personal and children. Hey guys, if you don't have children, skip this section. If it's, the children's section, that is, not your personal expenses, but the children's section, skip that if you don't have children, okay? And there are times you could be divorcing and you don't have any minor children. That's fine. And then you could be divorcing and you don't have any children from this actual divorce. Or maybe you have children from another relationship and they're still minors, but that information wouldn't necessarily go here because we're talking about children of this marriage, okay? All right, if you don't pay for dry cleaning, that's fine. It is totally fine, okay? And we don't need to go back to that one time in 1999 when you pay for dry cleaning. If you don't on a regular basis pay for dry cleaning, it's not a big deal. If you lately have not had any out-of-pocket medical or dental expenses that you've paid, we're not talking premiums. That's going to go somewhere else, but you don't have to put that there, okay? All right, so grooming, I'm just going to put a small amount. And here where it says gifts, you're gonna put in here what you give as far as gifts if you're giving gifts, okay? Now you don't have to anticipate what's going to happen this Christmas. But if on a regular basis you give gifts, feel free to put that there, okay? There are going to be some strategic reasons why we're not going to put gifts there, okay? Entertainment, if that's $50 or $100, that's fine. If you're going to the gym or you have some kind of recreational activity that you pay for, it's fine to put in here. Now, this is not the time to be bragging on our $10,000 vacations. But if you've done that, then you would put that here, okay? But if I'm you, I'm pretty much going to leave this blank unless I'm just doing a regular vacation, okay? All right, travel expenses for visitation, very, very, very important, especially if you live more than 100 miles away from your child or if you live out of state, okay? Because in the child support worksheet, you could get credit for this amount. So if you're having to pay travel expenses for visiting your child, then you need to put that amount here, okay? And we get it. You may not be flying into the state or out of the state to see your child on a monthly basis. Again, just take that annual number that you think you're actually spending and divide that by 12. All right, for the purposes of this video, we will put $200. And again, this is not if you're paying gas money to go from Gwinnett County to Cobb County. We're not referring to that. We're actually referring to people who actually live at least 100 miles away from their children, okay? And I know Gwinnett to Cobb County can feel like 100 miles in traffic, but we're not referring to that. All right, if you're making contributions to your retirement account, then you need to put that here, okay? Now, let me just give you this tip. If you are divorcing and you are making contributions to your 401k or any kind of retirement account, I will tell you to stop now, because the thing that you're doing now, if you're doing that, is you're just making the pot bigger. So if the judge says, hey, I'm going to divide the retirement account into 50%, then guess what? If your divorce lasts for 2 years, you've been contributing and helping that pot to get bigger and just giving more to where the other side is going to be able to take more. So during a divorce, I always advise that people stop contributing to their 401k. Now, if this is not a divorce for you, if it's a modification or something else like that, feel free to put your contribution here, because If you're not divorcing, then your assets will not count. All right, now, again, if none of these apply to you, publication, school alumni dues, union dues, then you don't need to put that here, okay? Professional expenses, if that doesn't apply to you, don't put it here. But if it does, make sure you're putting it here, okay? Now, this is another one that's very important, because if you do have a child that's outside of this case that you're paying child support for, you would want to put that right here under line 24 and 25, child support paid for other children outside of this case. And you would put the date of the order. Now, the reason I am not going to put anything here is because if I go back to our first page, I didn't put that we had any other children or that I had any other children outside of this case. So there's no need for me to put that there, okay? But if you do, because you get credit in a child support worksheet or could get credit in a child support worksheet for that child, it's very important that you put that information here, okay? All right, so here we go. Children's expenses. If this does not apply to you, then skip to the next section, okay? But for children's expenses, it is very important that you put what you're paying for the child of this case, okay? Or for the children of this case. So if you are paying for child care, or if you're paying private school tuition, then you need to make sure that you're putting that information here, okay? Now, I don't remember what age we made our children on the first page, but for the sake of this, let's say we have children in daycare, and let's say we are paying $1,200 a month in daycare, okay? So we want to make sure that we put that there. If you're paying for diapers, formula, whatever it is that you're paying, make sure you put that here, okay? Even if you are not the custodial parent, make sure you put that here, okay? If you're paying for clothing, make sure you're putting that here. If you're paying for medical, dental, or prescriptions outside of the premiums, make sure that goes here, okay? All right, if you're paying for counseling, psychiatric, or any other kind of counseling that you may be paying for, make sure that information is going here. Entertainment for children, put it here. Summer camps, if the children are going to the YMCA in the summer, or they're going to any other camp that you're having to pay for in the summer, please make sure that you're putting that here. Let's say you have the children for 4 weeks out of the summer and you're paying, I don't know, $100 a week. Seems a little cheap to me, but $100 a week for the summer camp. So we're going to put $400 there, okay? All right, let's say that you and the other parent actually share that expense. If you do, that's fine. Just divide that by the $400. But for the purposes of this video, we will leave that here. If the children are involved in any kind of sports or extracurricular activities or private lessons like piano lessons or swim lessons, let's put that amount here, okay? All right, and if there's anything else dealing with the children that we did not put, just put it here and make sure that you specify what it is. All right, again, you see how it's calculating everything for you? All right, so we're going to go to the next category, average monthly expenses. Now, this is something that's very important. And here's the thing. If you pay for health insurance for the children, then you want to make sure that you get credit for it. Now, what you pay for a total of your health insurance may not be what you pay for the children's portion of the health insurance. So this is where you need to contact your provider and find out how much is the children's portion, because you do get credited in the child support worksheet for what you pay for the children, okay? So for the purposes of this tutorial, let's say you pay $200 for a family plan. Let's say for the 2 children that we have, you only pay $100 for them, okay? All right. And so here, let's say for dental, let's say you pay $30 for a family plan, but for the 2 children, it's only about $10. Let's say for the vision, you pay about $30, and for the children, it's only $10, okay? All right, if you pay for life insurance, make sure you put in here that you pay some kind of life insurance premium. and what company it is and how much you're paying. And this is for the children so that you can get credit in the child support worksheet. Make sure you're putting anything that you're paying for the children, okay? All right. Let's go to our, and by the way, if you look and see, we're finished with the monthly average expenses, and this is your total. So let's go ahead and take this number, $5,315, okay? With everything, if I go back to tab 4 and tab 3 and tab 2, this number, $5,315, has automatically calculated everything as it deals with the expenses, okay? So $5,315, and look, oh my God, it puts it there for you, okay? $5,315 where it says average monthly expenses. It's very important that you don't change any of the cells or the formatting in the Excel spreadsheet, because if you do that, then it's not going to calculate properly for you, okay? All right, so next we want to go to, we want to go to payments to creditors, okay? All right, so if you owe Capital One, and we're going to put Capital One there, okay? What is the balance? Let's say the balance is $1,000, and let's say the monthly payment is $50, okay? Now, if for whatever reason this is a divorce, if this is yours, you can put husband or wife, or you can put your name there, however you want to do it, okay? And if both of you guys are on the account, just put both. Now, just because we put husband or wife doesn't mean, or just your name or the other person's name, doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be divided when it comes to a division of any kind of debt or property. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, and just make sure, you don't overthink this thing. If it says names on the account, just put the names that are on the account, okay? All right, and let's say you have, we're not going to put our mortgage here, by the way, and I'm going to tell you why in just a moment, because there's another section for that, okay? So let's say you have, I don't know, student loans. We will put our student loans there, and let's say it's only $50,000. Lucky you. All right, and let's say you pay $300 a month towards the student loans, okay? And again, let's say this is the husband's. Let's say husband. Let's keep this consistent. All right. Now you see how it calculated the monthly payments, $50 for Capital One, and then for your student loans, it actually calculated the $300, and it put $350 here for the creditors, okay? And if you notice, it took your total monthly average expenses and it added it to your creditors, okay? What you pay on a monthly basis for your payments to the creditors, and it gives us $5,665, okay? So if we go back to page 1, total monthly expenses and payments to creditors, you didn't even have to put that here. It calculated it and put it there. It calculated it and put it there just based on the cells that we actually formatted, okay? So again, it is very important that you don't mess up this format, okay? This is for your benefit. All right, so here we want to make sure when we go to assets, and this is going to be tab 6, okay? If you do have a 401k, make sure you put the description of the 401k, okay? So if this is going to be Vanguard, just put Vanguard, put the balance, okay? And then right here, if you think it's your non-marital, you can put it here. Doesn't mean that it's your non-marital, but it should mean that if you're putting that here, okay? Or if that's the wife's, you can put that here, okay? The judge is going to decide what's marital and what's non-marital, because a lot of times you guys don't realize what's considered marital and what's considered non-marital. So just put it here. If you don't think it's non-marital, then that's fine. Just leave that blank, okay? All right. Same thing from pension. Same thing if you have an IRA. you're just going to put that information here, okay? All right, if you have stocks that you want to put in here, mutual, not that you want to put in here, but you need to put in here. This is very important for people that are divorcing, okay? Because if you are divorcing, assets is very important. If this is not a divorce, if this is just a simple legitimation, modification, child custody case that doesn't involve a divorce, then you don't need to worry about the assets that you're putting here, because really the assets are divided in a divorce. All right, so for the purposes of this video, I will go to the next tab, bank accounts, okay? So in here, you want to put what kind of bank account you have. So if this is a Bank of America checking, then I'm going to put BOA checking. And I will put my balance in here, okay? So if my balance is $5,000, put $5,000, okay? If there's a savings account you have, put that in here, okay? All right, so let's go to tab 7. All right, so for tab 7, we're starting with automobiles. Include the year, the make, and the model of your car, okay? So if the year is a 2019 GL 550 Mercedes, then put that in here, okay? Put what you think the value of the car is. Put the debt that you owe on the car, okay? In reality, this shouldn't be showing $90,000, but somehow the sale is messed up, and we should get the sale fixed. But in reality, it should show that the equity is different, okay? All right, and it should show that the equity is $30,000, by the way. All right, so if this is a divorce, put whether you believe that's the husband's or the wife's. Put that there, okay? All right, for real estate, we're going to do the same thing for real estate. You will put your street address, because it says insert street address, okay? So if you live at 555 John Doe Lane in Atlanta, Georgia, then put that, okay? Again, you're going to put what you think the value of the home is, and you'll put the debt right here. Now, realistically, the sale needs to be fixed again, because if we're looking at the value of $600,000 and then the debt is $200,000, then realistically, the equity should be $400,000 in here. So I'm going to have to fix this. But in the meantime, I will manually put it in, okay? And let's go back up and fix this, and I will manually put it in. It's just simple math. And if you find yourself where the sale is doing that, just simply just input what it's supposed to be, okay? Now, if you do have more than one vehicle, make sure you're putting your second and your third vehicle, okay? And if you have more than one property, make sure you're putting your second and your third property. These sales, they can be duplicated, but again, contact us so that if you do have more than 2 properties, that we can help you put that in, okay? If you have business interests, this is where you're going to put that. Now, there's going to be so much more to the business interest that we will talk about, but if you have a business, this is where you put the value of the business. And if you're putting a value right here, then at this point, you should have had what's called a valuation done of the business. Any kind of money owed to you, you're going to put here. Any kind of tax refund you're anticipating, you're going to put here. If you have a life insurance policy, put the value here. If you're putting, if you have furniture, jewelry, collectibles, put what you think the value is, okay? Now, if you 20 years ago paid $50,000 for furniture in the home, then don't put $50,000 here, because it's definitely not worth $50,000 today unless it's considered an antique, okay? All right, you see how our assets, it's pretty much added up, okay? All right, so the last page will be our signature page. This is the page that you definitely want to print out and have notarized. Now, when I have you guys do an Excel spreadsheet or a domestic relations financial affidavit, I actually say it's easier to do the Excel spreadsheet and then print out this page, which is the signature page, okay? And make sure this is notarized. And don't forget, we have to add our last 2 pay stubs to this. Now, the reason I like for you guys to do Excel spreadsheets is because you can save this, okay? You can save this. And the thing about saving this is you save it. And if things change, it's easy to go and change. So if for whatever reason you actually lose your job, then it's easier to change this amount than to go back in and recalculate everything, okay? Now, there are times where you do have to go back and show, hey, now I don't pay that much as far as the expenses are concerned, okay? All right. So you see our number, our net monthly income under 3B is more than our expenses. It's more than our total monthly expenses and payments to creditors. Now, I live in reality, so I know that for some of you, your expenses will, excuse me, your expenses will be more than your gross income, your gross monthly income, okay? But here's where you don't want, what you don't want to happen. You don't want to have the gross monthly income a lot less than what your expenses are. So when you show that, it raises a red flag, because sometimes we'll have people where they'll show where the total monthly expenses is $10,000 and they show their net monthly income is $4,000. Well, that's a red flag, because for a judge, it's like, wait. If you have that much of a disparity, then are you hiding income? So that's the reason we want to be mindful of the numbers, okay? We want to be truthful, but we want to be mindful of the numbers that we put here, okay? I hope this was helpful for you guys. There is an instruction sheet that goes with this, so make sure you read the instruction sheet, because that will give you a lot of guidance as well. Have a great day, guys.